Welcome back in, everyone. This is Black Girls Talking TV, where we bring the group chat to life and discuss all your favorite TV shows. Today is all about Love Island USA, Season 7, Episode 24. I am Victoria. I am one of your hosts, and I am a psychologist.
And I'm Kamaria. I am an attorney and a pop culture writer. Let's get into the Chelley. Can we get into the Chelley Ace Huda
Yes.
situation of it all? What do you think? Because I'm curious. Like I have thoughts.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So when it was happening, and I was kind of evaluating what all the girls were doing, and I'm
Mhm,
like, it was a bit much. She was straight
mhm,
up dry humping.
mhm,
Okay.
mhm,
And I know there was a lot of girls sitting on laps and bouncing ass, but you done laid this man down, got on
mhm.
top of him, done took your long ass tongue out, you everywhere, and you are dry humping this like in the motion like y'all are
Mhm.
having intercourse.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that is where it was like, okay, there is a line and you have crossed it.
Yeah. I will say that like when it first happened, I was kind of like, do I feel like this is that big of a deal? Because it's like I guess sometimes I kind of zone out from the challenges. Like I may not pay attention to them as
Yeah.
closely. But it seemed like they're all just having like a big ass orgy. Like
That's what it
sometimes
was,
it seems
honey.
like that. So it's hard to draw a line for me sometimes between like, no, this the orgy that went too far, and like this was just enough orgy. Like so it's
Yeah.
like I get a little like confused as to like what is the line. But I'm like as I'm listening to okay, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to tease out where y'all feel like the line is. And I guess they felt like the line was one, the fact that he's her person, right? You know what I'm saying? Like he's the person that she has the strongest connection with. And she also was just like she was kind of like she was I was like, okay, Huda, she was like hitting it, right? And so I don't think anybody else per se did that, but like if they did, I wouldn't blink an eye usually. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why it's
Hmm.
like it's hard to kind of I see what Chelley's saying for sure. But it's hard to really understand it fully because if anybody else did it, I wouldn't have blinked the eye. You know what I'm saying? I really wouldn't have blinked
Yeah.
the eye. If she had not pointed it out, I wouldn't have blinked the eye. I would have been like, oh, today's challenge was a little spicy. Like even like to me, Alandria throwing her booty in like Chris's face was like a little more to me than that. But, at the same time, Chris is not Shelly's number one, you know? And I guess
Yeah.
it's like with Huda, it's a little hypocritical of her given how much she was into like had her claws into Jeremiah. So I see what she's saying. She was kind of like she was grinding on him, and there's a difference between
Yeah.
kissing and grinding and like trying to get somebody's member.
I also think it's a difference between like a little 5-10 second here. It looked like it was long because
Mhm.
we already know Shelly and Chris was probably down there for a while, just
Mhm.
because we know Shelly is into Chris. And
Mhm.
Shelly also double back. So that's why I was like, okay, like Huda was probably down there for a good minute, and then for them to have gotten up and they
Mhm.
were still going, it
Mhm.
was and she looked like she was really into it. Like
Yeah.
it was I don't know. It felt like it was a lot to me watching it. And I could be biased because I already feel like Huda does too much. You know what I'm saying? So um
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't mind saying that.
I personally like, yeah, like I'm not here for Huda. Like I personally whatever Shelly said, if she was, I believe it. I'm on that side because they chop and screw, as you say, the videos anyway. So we weren't there to see the whole thing. They're the only ones who saw the actual whole footage. So it could have been like, a little longer, and maybe it got a little too raunchy, and maybe they were like, we don't want to get FCC fined, so we're gonna just show this part.
Yeah.
But there was other parts that we didn't see. So whatever Shelly said, I'm on Shelly's side about it. You know what I'm saying? I just would say that as far as challenges go, it's hard for me to draw the line because they all
Yes.
seem like they're doing all kinds of
It's all
shit
nasty
in
ass
the
shit
thing.
at the end of the
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
So so but I'm like, Chelley, if you said it, all right, girl. Like I ain't see it per se,
Yeah.
but I'm a ride with you because if I'm like I have more faith in Shelley's read of it than I do his.
Right.
And I have and
Yeah.
not only that, but like Ace ass was over there like making faces at Taylor like what the fuck? Like, you know what I'm saying? So it was
Yeah.
something going on.
Everyone's reaction was like, "This is a bit much." Even Adrena was like, you know, she was
Yeah, yeah.
stuck. Yeah, and I
So
guess like my thing with Huda is like, I'm with Chelley on the fact that like if you're gonna come to us and say thank you so much for not doing so much on
yeah, with
Jeremiah, you know
Jeremiah.
what I'm saying? Like you can acknowledge the fact that there is a line to
Yeah,
cross when
yeah.
it's you, when it's your feelings at
Mhm.
that are on the line. I think you should also acknowledge that for your friends, especially since y'all are like, because she's the one who's throwing out we're sisters. This is a
Mhm.
sisterhood, and I love you guys so much. So
Mhm.
yeah, and then her like going to Andrina and Amaya to like seek that reassurance instead of just being woman enough to go speak to Chelley about it. I didn't like that either.
Uh,
I didn't like that she ends up going to the confessional to cry and talking about some damn Huda, I fucked up. Like I said, she fits a category of people who are it's like they just it's a lot of instability within their
mhm.
emotions, within their relationships, with how they view themselves. Like everything is based on these external factors. And I feel like if Huda was strong in her identity and who she was, I don't think she would have done that today. If she thought to herself like I am a woman who wants to carry myself with a certain moral code, I don't think she would have done that.
Mhm.
And I'm like, girl, now you overwhelmed with emotions and crying and talking about I fucked up instead of just going to go talk to your friend and take responsibility.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think she probably was looking for a sounding board a little bit, but it's Shelley's game, at this point. Like, if Shelley's not a fake person, so either Shelley's going to, be like, I'm good on you, or Shelley's going to forgive her and be like, all right, it's all is well. Don't let it happen again. Don't let
Yeah.
whatever, so I mean, I follow Shelley's lead in this, she felt agreed.
Same.
She's, however Shelley's feeling about it, I'm feeling about it because, I don't have no independent thoughts on it. Huda can do no right in my view, like, to be honest.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
it's
Yeah.
like,
Maybe man. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but
I mean, I don't think they're like Huda should not be on a show like this. Like, she needs to
yes,
go
she
home
don't need to
and
be
heal.
here. She needs to go home.
So it is what it is. Yeah. So it's like I
Yeah.
don't think there's like it's too harsh,
Yeah.
except like if you're like, she's on this, she's on that, like calling her names and stuff. Like, nobody's calling names, but she need to heal. She need to be in somebody's therapy chair. And that's just real.
Yeah.
That's just facts.
Yeah.
Like, but let's just wrap up this Olandria situation a little bit because that's where everything left off on a
Yeah.
cliffhanger. What were your thoughts? Because I liked the way she started the beginning of the episode. It was like, okay, Olandria, you look like you're moving forward. She was like, she want to just close the chapter, but I didn't like her pulling him for the challenge. I was like, girl, like, don't give him a
Same.
taste. Like, swing,
Same.
swing, swing that ass in front of him, walk on by, and go to somebody else. Like, the
Please
pulling him, I
go
was
to
not a
somebody
fan
else. Yeah, I'm there with you. As soon as that happened, I was like, okay, girl, so you're not over him. Which I mean, I'm not expecting her to be over him because clearly she really liked him.
of.
I would like, I would like to have the expectation that she is going to move on, and she has now seen that this man has not chosen you not one time. The time he had to choose, he did not choose you. And every single time you've had to choose, you chose him.
Mm.
So, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I was in
What
the
are we doing?
bar earlier today, and I met these Love Island because every Love Island has touched every hood, right? So, but I met these ladies, and they reminded me that like he actually, even when Sierra came into the house, he stood up. Remember that? He stood up
Mm-hmm.
and chose to uncouple with Sierra, but Sierra didn't choose him, so he ended up back in the couple with
Yes.
Olandria. But like, this is not the first time. I think all of us are looking at this like this is, and especially because he had the cloak of all the guys stood up trying to recouple with Sierra. But
Yeah.
it's like it's clear enough to me. So
Very clear.
no,
And even like during the challenge, I'm like, when a woman is on top of you, naturally you about to, you know what I'm saying, you grabbing ass, your hands gonna come around. He didn't do none of that. He was like this, like
because he's
as if he wanted her to just get off, like he wanted her to get off of him. And I was like, this is not cute. I don't like it. I don't like it for
Mhm,
my girl. What, I don't even know like what to say at this point, because it's
mhm,
like all the signs are there,
mhm.
and you keep walking down that path
Right. Because
clear
I mean,
as
I think
day.
it's
It
like there's
says
no.
warning, danger, everything, and you're just psh,
Yeah, I think like right now it's kind of difficult for her because there's no one in the house for her. But I think that like kind of
yeah,
mirrors life where sometimes you have these seasons where you're not finding anybody. And so like you have to just recognize that it's okay for me to like whatever happens from this in this moment of me not having someone, I don't have to force a connection or I don't have to force something that I want or go back to something that doesn't want me. And so I don't know. It feels like she's doing a little bit of like there's no one else, so I'm
yeah.
going to keep
But
doing
Alandria, she
that.
did mention it though when she was talking to Sierra and Chelley. She was like, he stood up for you for 5 seconds.
Oh
So
yes,
when
yes.
they were talking, yeah. So I'm like, you have all of this evidence, but you're still like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And at this point, I'm trying to figure out why haven't the other guys shown more interest in her? Is it because she moves slow? Is it,
I mean, maybe just interest because not like no one has like a ton of people except Chelley. Like Chelley
yeah,
in both Casa or in the villa has have had she's had a couple different guys, kind of go for her. And Andrina. Like she's got a
yeah,
couple guys trying to go for her as well. And so aside from them though, everybody else has just found one person and kind of stuck with that. Like to be honest, Alandria sent her person out the door. Like Jalen was her person. Like her and
yeah,
Jalen, they could have gone far. They could have won. They could have did some shit, to be honest. And on the Vow Files, like I think it was the Vow Files. Um, Jalen was talking about how he was like, I thought that we had a good connection. You know what I mean? Like I thought things were good, and so like I think that had she been interested, like it's her side of the equation. Had she been interested, I think that things could have gone somewhere, but it's just she wasn't. And so like, but if like you said before in another episode that whoever's with Alandria is going to be able to have a good easy path to winning. And so I feel like if Jalen had been here, I think that could have been something, but it's just like Alandria was
yeah,
really stuck. But I think that was her person. You get what I'm saying? Like everybody except for like Chelley and Andrina and maybe Nick have had like really one good connection, one good solid connection that and I just think that hers she let hers walk out of here. But that's
yeah,
cool, it is what it is. If she's not interested, she's not interested. Or if she was just like too wrapped up in Taylor and she would have been interested had she been clear on Taylor, then she has a chance in the real world. It's not this is not the end
yeah.
of the world for
I
her.
do remember her mentioning early on that she I think like her, I don't know if it was her and Taylor talking about like their love languages, and she was saying how like she's like a really big giver, I think, or something to that extent, or like she'll spoil a guy. And so I wonder if that's what's coming into
I'm
play, and
not here
because
for
she's
that.
just giving Taylor so much, she just can't turn her head. Like she feels like she's put in so much work for Taylor that she's just like it's him or nothing. But it's unfortunate, and I want either the producers to send somebody in there for her, or like just have her go home. Just have her go home and go home to love and support. I don't want to see her keep getting humiliated by this man who don't want her.
Yeah, I mean, I personally feel like she gonna be all right. Like, I'm not, even though she got this situation going on, like, I don't feel like, oh, my girl is down bad. I feel like she gonna be all right. She gonna be all right.
Yeah,
But
she gonna be all right. I
don't,
just don't want her to keep doing it. I don't want
no,
to see
I
it. I
agree.
don't want to. I don't want to keep
I agree.
doing
I
it.
don't like when you said that part about spoiling. Oh my God, spoiling a man. I-
Spoiler where?
Men are not meant to be spoiled. I mean, I'm not trying to like look. I'm not trying to say
No,
nothing.
I feel
They're
you.
meant to
This
be treated well, and they're meant to be, cared for and loved and adored and all the beautiful things. But spoiled is not one of them. Spoiled is
mm,
not one of them because, like, and I don't mean treated well because some people will hear me and say sweet treated well. Spoiled is not one of them because it's just
yeah.
the nature of how they are, and this is not a bad thing. This is just who they are. Like they are very.
They don't like it either.
I think that because this is a whole, we open up a whole can of conversation because I think that something about when a woman is spoiling a man, it signals for men. It signals maybe a lack of like, I don't want to say self worth, but something in the sense of like if you are over giving, and I think I started trying to talk about this before, but when you're over giving, it's a little bit of a signal that like you're
I
not
can
holding.
run all over you. This is
Yeah,
not,
and
you're
you're
not
not valuing
stable.
what you have. That you're like, no,
Yes.
there's requirements for this. You gotta be able to make me a date tailor. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be able to do some
Yes.
things for me. There's requirements to get here. Okay, it's not just a
Yes.
free for all. And so, like when you're giving, 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 and you're not requiring, as you spoke about in the last episode, that reciprocity. When you're not doing that, it's like it shows a lack of valuing yourself. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to say that's what Olandria is doing, but I'm saying just generally about overgivers, it shows a lack of valuing what you have to offer because you're just giving it away so freely and you're not requiring, like you're not saying like, oh no, you got to be able to, you gotta tell me I'm beautiful, okay, before you get to kiss or before you get to like hold my hand and stand next to me in challenges. You gotta
Yeah.
be able to talk, talk nice to me. Okay. And so
Yeah.
like I feel like some of that is speaking to that reciprocity that you spoke about before, like requiring certain things, but also just having standards for how you give out your love. You may want to love someone, but it's like if they not showing up the way you need them to show up, you gotta hold that love in and give it to yourself. You gotta
Hmm.
hold that love in, and you just gotta be like, they're not deserving of it right now. They haven't shown me enough. When they show me enough, I can give them a little love. I'm a loving person, but I don't need to give them love just to be a loving person. I don't need to give to them specifically to be a giver. I've got a lot of people in my life I can give to. I don't need to be given to you specifically. So you
Yeah,
got a
no,
whole
that's
house,
real.
she got a whole house full of homegirls. Like, homegirl, you need what you need, what you need. I got you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can be a giver. You don't have to be given to a dude who not giving back to you. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Let's get into some of these other
Well, I was
points.
gonna say one more thing because, like, I actually do. I don't know why this conversation is making me think of this one guy I dated, but this is when I learned that you cannot overgive because I was Alandria in that situation, and I remember the guy he looked at me, he was like, "I got to figure out what I'm gonna do with you." And it was given like whether or not we just gonna be F buddies, whether we just gonna be talking,
Uh,
whether we just like, do I want to date you? Like he was giving out all of these options, and I was like, I've given you all of these options. Like it was just a light bulb instantly went off, and I had to like, I was like, oh no, we're pulling back, and I'm not doing this shit ever
mm-hmm,
again, you know.
mm-hmm,
And it was a time when the self worth wasn't that high. I felt like I had to show up in a certain way in order
mm-hmm,
to be desired and valued, and so I
mm-hmm,
do kind of wonder. Although Alandria, she is beautiful, if past relationships, whatever messaging she has received that makes her feel like she got to show up like this.
mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, but I'm, free Alandria. That's where we at.
period.
And they need to send
Period.
a bombshell in there for her. I mean, another one, please.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wonder if
Like they
Jalen's gonna
send
be
one
interested in
specifically
trying
for
to
her.
explore.
Say
Yeah,
what?
I wonder if Jalen will spin the block and try to explore when they all get out. Maybe.
It depends. I don't know. I haven't heard him
Yeah.
speak on it, but I did hear him say that he thought that they had a good. He's like, I thought we were, having a good connection. I'm sure he would not sweating Taylor. But anyway, we're gonna go through the couples. We're gonna go through Sierra and Nick. They had some interesting things. Like Nick seemed to be really like a little pissed off at the challenge, and then also Sierra's heart rate was raised most by Elon. Elon's heart rate was raised most by Sierra. Nick's heart rate was raised most by somebody else. Who was it?
Iris.
And Iris's heart rate was raised most by Nick.
Yeah.
Surprising, but there was some surprising results all around for some people. Some people are not, but some people, I was like even like Jalen being, I mean not Jalen, but Austin being his heart rate being
Yeah, for Maya.
Maya. I was like, he don't like that girl, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know what that's about. And then Jalen's was by Nick and Sierra. They was doing it to the people.
Right, right, right,
It was
right. That
raising the
was,
heart
but
rate. So I don't know. But any other thoughts on them as a whole?
I mean, not really. I thought it was interesting that he was like, I don't want you doing too much," and she said, "Okay, I don't want to see it either." I felt like he stuck to that. Granted, we actually don't know because all the girls were skipping him and kissing Sierra. So Nick didn't really have the opportunity to do too much. He did put them feet in his mouth though. I was like, what in the world?
Yeah.
Too much. Too much.
Yeah.
But I was wondering how he was gonna respond to the challenge in general because it did seem like Sierra was doing a lot of what he did not want her to do.
Again, it's the same thing with Chelley. It's like, this is show y'all on. Like, I don't understand. It don't look no different than what any of the other challenges look like. So it seems like
Yeah.
just you should be used to this by now. But I guess maybe it's like they walk into the show and they're still their real human selves, and
Right.
they are getting jealous or getting like territorial as the bonds grow. So,
Yeah.
what'd you think about the conversation Sierra had with Iris about like the Olandria kiss?
I
Um,
mean, Iris was right. Why all of a sudden is he like, yeah, let's explore this connection? It's a great question. It's a good question. I thought, damn girl, you poking your nose in places that don't belong.
you
Let
know,
it be
Iris.
so it don't become. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I was just like, let it be so it don't become something. But I do understand. It also brought me back to our conversation that we had in the last episode about like sometimes your friend's reaction gives you that reality
Oh,
check
uh-huh.
of how maybe like there's another way to perceive this, right? Because she
Yeah.
already rationalized
Hmm.
the behavior. But Iris came in and said, wait a minute now, like why in the world would your best friend be making out with the guy you just had sex with? Like,
Hmm. But it's
great
Alandra's her
question.
best friend.
I mean, that's what they say. I mean, you always see Olandria, Chelley, and Sierra together. I think
Not.
Sierra has a lot of good relationships with most of the girls in general.
Hmm.
Um, so
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess also like I have to step outside of the propaganda of the show. The show is feeding us a narrative, a storyline. Because part of me was like, I don't see anything wrong with it. Like that was the majority. The major part of me was just like, I don't see anything wrong with this. Like they're all in here exploring. He explored it. He didn't like it, or he didn't find it to be more than just a, I guess,
which I
less
don't believe.
sort of attractive, endeavor. What'd you say?
I don't even believe that though.
I believe it because it's like when we first brought it up like a couple episodes back, and I was like, when before he said anything to Alandria, I was like, why is he keep talking about it in confessionals and talking about it, pulling her for kisses, but never having a conversation with her? It's giving fetish. It's giving, and I'm not trying to say that
Yeah,
that's what it is, but I'm saying that's what it was giving at that time. And so now it's like, was it something that was like an itch that you wanted to scratch, and then
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
scratched
You
it,
just
and then
wanted
you're
to
like,
see.
okay, this is where my heart is, and go back to Sierra
Yeah,
type of thing. But even saying that, I didn't. I think, like I said, I maybe drinking the Kool Aid, taking in the propaganda of the show, but I just really didn't feel like it was too bad. And I was like, there is another side of friendships. There's one, friendships hold a mirror to you, but then there's also friends can have a large power to persuade you in certain situations, and like you have to just kind of, that's what you got to know, which friends you can go to for what, and which with what information, you know what I'm saying. And I guess
yeah.
we're all still learning each other, but I feel like if Sierra's cool with it, because she's over here
Let it
exploring,
be.
she's
Yeah,
yeah, if Sierra's cool with it, then it's like that's what she's cool with. And so I felt like Iris was like putting her 2 cents in there, and it didn't necessarily have to be in there. But at the same time, it's like as a person's here, you have to kind of like be a little stronger about how you feel instead of letting it, because there was another time
Yeah.
she did that too. She was like, I don't know how I feel now. And it's like it seems like she could be easily persuaded in these friendship sort of. It was something that happened earlier, and she changed her mind about it based on talking to somebody. I can't remember what it was, but either way, for me, I can see it as a thing, but I can also see it as not
Yeah.
a thing. It's
I
so.
just felt like it wouldn't have been a thing until Iris opened up her mouth. So
Mhm,
to me, I felt like it was again like you're putting your nose in places it doesn't belong.
mhm,
Like if your friend tells you I didn't feel a type of way and she's happy, let it be that instead of now clouding her judgment. Because I feel like it's a place where now, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but it now can be somewhere where there's like a little bit of resentment in her and Nick's relationship
mhm,
if she feels like there was something there that he's just not being honest
mhm,
about, you
mhm.
know?
Yeah, I can see that. Hood and Chris, we kind of talked about them a little bit, but like he seems like he's interested in Chelley.
Yeah, he's
you know.
definitely interested in Chelley and the challenge. His reaction to Chelley, I was like, okay, this man he won't
Oh yeah,
Chelley.
Chelley and Chris were like, but I think
Yeah.
the heart rate thing is like it's not like everything. Like
Well,
I
I don't
wouldn't.
think it's the heart rate. I think it was like his face.
Well, I mean, in the confessional, he was like, I like Chris for Chelley.
I like Chris for Chelley
I like it.
too.
I like
I
it.
do
So
too.
we'll see what happens with it. But I mean, I like Ace too. But I really wish Chris had more time. Like I wish Chris had been in there from the beginning because I want to see which one does she really connect with because it feels like what's given Ace the edge is that he's been there longer and she has
Yeah.
a deeper connection. And so it's like Chris can't really get in there all the way because Ace just beats him on time. Um but I wonder if he had longer with her,
Yeah.
what that would be like. Because I like him. He's
Agreed.
attractive to me. Zach and Amaya, they're cute.
I don't have too much to say about Zach and Amaya. Iris and TJ, um, Pepe
Um,
and Grayson,
Well, I do have to
but
say,
Andrina,
yes, and Pepe. It's like I wouldn't mind it because
I
like
wouldn't
Brian,
mind it either. I think they would look cute together. I like Andrina with Pepe better than I do with Brian.
yeah, I think Brian looks better.
Pepe is growing for me a little bit. I don't know if like it's seeing him with clothes on. I think he dresses well. But he's growing on me. I'm like, he ain't too bad on the eyes. Honestly, he's
Yeah,
really
his
not.
Instagram is cute. Like he looks really nice on
Yeah,
his Instagram. I don't know if it's a different haircut. With the right haircut, Pepe could.
and he can play the guitar. We love a multifaceted man. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Austin and Jaden, they seem like they also have a good connection. I think we
Oh
touched on
yeah,
that in the
we.
last episode. I am happy that he is with Jaden. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, yeah. I think she made the right choice. Everybody talk about like her not going to Nick, but if she would have went to Nick, she just would have been dumped for Sierra. She would have been off this island. Austin was her
Basically,
person. Yeah, Austin was her.
yeah. But I do see the public is like as soon as they get a chance to vote, they want to vote Taylor and Clarke up out of here.
I would do that. Like I'm down for that. Like let's
Yeah,
do that.
same,
Let's
same,
get
same.
that.
I'm so
Like
sorry, Clarke, but yeah, like
I ain't
I
even
don't even
sorry,
like
girl.
I
You had the time. That's what you were supposed to have
actually
that
this
time.
episode grew my frustration for Taylor even more because it was like even the conversations you're having with Clarke about like what type of house you want to have. It's like when you're able to have those conversations and you couldn't have them with Olandria. Like all we saw y'all say was where y'all connection was. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we 10, 20 episodes in and y'all talking about so what is barn life like and what's your favorite fruit? Like very basic level conversations. And so I'm just like, you played in my girl's face for way too long. Way too long. Way too long. You never even checked in with Olandria to see how she was feeling. I'm done with Taylor. That's it. That's all. That's all.
Mm-hmm. You know,
I'm talking about I had to choose between my head and my heart. My head said one thing, my heart said another. Boy, bye. Gots to go. If you aren't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. And we will see y'all for tomorrow's episode. Bye.